Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's LeetCode Contest Corner. It is week 350. Woohoo! The big 350. Um, gonna be honest, I wasn't feeling the best today, but by the time the contest rolled around, I was feeling better. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's knock it out. Um, as for how I did today, could have been better. I think I don't. I've done like I don't know how to word it. I don't know if I have the tools yet to do better, but I don't know what I'm saying. Let's just get into it, I guess. Um I got one done, but I think I'm gonna go over two of these two, because yeah, I started doing the second one. But um I didn't finish it. So but all of these are like, today was a weird day, man. Just kind of chaotic day. So I'll do my best. I mean, it works, so I'll be able to explain how it works, I think. But uh, let's just get into it. So this one, total distance traveled. A truck has two fuel tanks. You are given two integers. Main tank representing the fuel present in the main tank in liters, and additional tank representing the fuel present in the additional tank in liters. The truck has a mileage of 10 kilometers per liter whenever 5 liters of fuel, whenever 5 liters of fuel get used up in the main tank. If the additional tank has at least 1 liters of fuel, 1 liters of fuel will be transferred from the additional tank to the main tank. Return the maximum distance which can be traveled. Note: injection from the additional tank is not continuous. Happens suddenly and immediately for every 5 liters consumed. Okay, I think the note here is just saying, don't worry about how long it'll take. It'll happen, bro. Just don't worry about it. We're just worrying about the math. Um, so what does this mean? Um, it's pretty simple. It means, so so just imagine you got the truck driving along. Once it uses up some 5 liters of fuel, then it will take from the additional tank and then put it in its main tank, and then start using it again. I word that very specifically. I'll get that in. It caught me in a little bit of an issue. Um, but yeah, so he puts in the main tank and then continues going until it's run out of fuel. So in this case, see, this is an important note. So the main tank has 5 liters, the additional tank has 10, so it goes to the 5, and then that's 5 liters. So then it adds one from the additional to the main, and then it uses last uh that last liter, and that gives us 60 kilometers, and then it doesn't use anymore. It doesn't use the remaining 9 from the additional. So that's how that works. Um, And then if the main tank has one, like here, it only has 1 liter. It doesn't ever go up, doesn't ever use 5 liters. Then it'll only use that 1 liter. So it goes 10 kilometers. This is a weird truck. I don't really know if a truck ever works like this, but anyways, let's see my code. We're at this one. Um, so I guess I'll show you how I did it, how I ended up doing it. So, okay, the you got the main tank and the additional tank as parameters. Um, and so then I create a variable distance, set it to 0. That's just going to keep track of the distance we have traveled. Pretty simple. And then we have distance traveled since last. This um, basically is how we're going to keep track of how when we've gone well, once we've used 5 liters. So it's not really it's not distance, it's more liters. Um, it should say, you know what, I'll rename it for you guys so it's um makes sense. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll change it to liters. I wouldn't be traveled then. Liters used since last. Okay. So since we're just getting started, it is 0. So so we have a while loop here. Um, and it's gonna keep going until the main tank is at 0. Um, cool. So yeah, once it's 0, then we're done. Almost, but we'll get to that in a minute. So then we have a simple check here. The leaders, if leaders used since last we checked, I don't. It's kind of weird phrasing, but if it equals 5, well, okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's skip this. Okay, we'll get back to this in a second. So we start at 0. So this is not. This is still 0. So we go down here. So then we increase liters used since we used the leader. And then we decrease how many liters we have left in the tank, and then we increase the distance by 10. So we keep doing this, and then once we've used 5 liters, then um, we set liters used since last to 1 um, for not 0 for a specific reason. I'll get to that in a sec. So then if yeah, so then we check we check if there's fuel in the additional tank as leaves 1 liters. If there is, then we um yeah yeah well yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, it works, so it's probably fine. Anyways, so if there's additional fuel, then we add it and we get rid of the additional tank. Um, but this is important. Liters used since last, we have it set to 1 because this counts as a use in the main tank. So this counts. Um, so this is a liter used. So we set it as 1 just to make life easier. Um, and then it goes until yeah. Then we go we keep going, and then the main tank is empty. So that means if the main tank is 0, that means the last iteration of this did that one because it subtracted 1 from the main tank. But because of that, um, we could have just used the 5 liters again. So right after the while loop, um, I have liters since used last. Um, like with the same, pretty much it's the same exact thing. If we used it 5 times, I still have this here. We don't necessarily need this here. It doesn't matter. Um, then if there's any additional fuel in the additional tank, then we add to the distance. And we get rid of, and then again, we don't really need to track it since we'll be done after this. But I left it there because what's the harm? And then we return the distance. So then if we have 5 and 10, then we'll return 60. 1 and 2 return 10. Um, yeah. So it's a little weird. It's I don't think it's too hard to understand. It's more hard to describe. Um, so that's that. I hope I did my best to describe it. If you don't get it, it's probably my fault. Don't worry about it. So I guess here I'll go over what I tried to do. It probably still could have worked. In fact, I'm sure that's what people did. Or I don't know. It's possible that's what people did um, in their versions. Um, there is I tried to like mathematically do it. So and it almost worked. So okay, so I started with extra to use, um, and so that's basically saying how many times are we going to divide um how are we going to go 5 times? which already doesn't really work because the additional tanks are going to be included in this, and so it's a little weird to. So this doesn't work. That part doesn't work. Um, see, trying to see here, and then the dis. So then I have the distance equals. I start with the distance equaling 10 times the main tank's amount in the main tank, and then this is just because I was trying to figure some figure out why it wasn't working. That's just the system print. Um, then then when I add the extra liters used, um, I need to do whichever smaller because um, if there's if there's like if like we're going if we have like 100 or so liters in the main tank, that means we can take 20 liters out of the additional tank. But if we only have like 2 liters in the additional tank, then we'll want to just only do 2 multiplied by the additional tank. Otherwise, if it's some other way around, if we only use an extra 2, if we only go like 10, if we only have 10 liters in the main tank, then we'll only do it twice. And so it doesn't matter if there's 100 additional in the additional tank, we're only going to do it twice. So basically, it's just like, hey, use the smallest one, and then I guess I didn't have to have equals to here because I used else here, but I mean, if it's equal, then it doesn't matter which one we use. So yeah. So I already pointed out some of the issues with this, which I think is mainly this one, because when we use an additional tank, that counts towards another 5 that, and I'm sure you could still mathematically solve it. You don't need to actually go through it like this, but you have to figure out how to do that, and my brain wasn't ready to do that. So yeah, so that's the distance traveled one. Uh, Next, so then we have this one, and this one I like. I'm pretty sure I solved it in a, it like works, but it doesn't work well enough. Um, I'll get to I'll get to that in a second, in a minute or so. You'll see why, what I mean. So let's just start. Okay, find the value of a partition. This one's okay. This one takes some thinking. Hold on to your butts. You are given a positive integer array nums. Partition nums into 2 arrays, nums1 and nums2, such that each element of array nums belong to either the array nums1 or the array nums2. Both arrays are non-empty. The value of the partition is minimized. The value of the partition is the absolute value of max from nums1 minus min from nums2. Here, max nums1 denotes the maximum element nums1, min's nums2 denotes the minimum element of array nums2. Return the integer denoting the value of such partition. Okay, so if you didn't quite get that, so you got an array, um, and you want to take that array and split it, put all the numbers into 2 different arrays in such a way that if you take the maximum number from array 1 and subtract the minimum number from array 2, the absolute value of that, we want that to be the smallest number. Okay, we want it to be a small number. Okay, so how I think I like I said, I think it's working. I didn't exactly get a good result. I didn't prove it could work, but it might not. So okay, I might be wrong. So if I hey, if I'm wrong about how I went about this, then let me know. Let me know where my logic is wrong in the comments below. I'll get better at programming, and you can feel superior. Is the win-win situation here? So, anyways, how I think the way to go about the way I went about this is. So first, I guess I'll show the code. Okay. Um, so we're down here. Um, oh right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start with how I did it the first time. Um, so first, this for loop. There's two for loops. This just the sorts. This is a bubble sort. I'm not. We learned about sorting algorithms, but I don't really have them like memorized, like a good way to do them quickly. So I'm still like bubble sort is how I do it. Um, and I don't know if I would have been able to use, because then I'd have to use a method or something. I don't know. I did bubble sort. That is the best I could do. But this, if you don't know, it'll sort the array from smallest number to the left to the biggest number to the right, so small to big. Very simple. Uh, um, I don't know if you guys want me to go. I'll go through it. Just skip ahead if you already know it how bubble sort works. But basically, I'm going through. Um, we go through. Oh, how do I describe this? Do I have three? No, no. Blah, blah. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going through each number. So this first one ensures that we go through each number. So we go um we I to nums dot length. Then we have j. We start at the beginning. So this is where we're going to move each number to where we want it. So we'll have j, and it goes j to nums dot length minus I, because once we finish this loop, the biggest number will be all the way on the right. So then the next time we don't need to worry about that number. So leave it on the right, and then it'll keep going to the left and sorting it kind of like that. And then -1 for, you'll see in a second here. So we have nums j. If nums j is the num on the left. So we're looking at two numbers in the thing as we loop through. Um, so we got like 5 and 4. So we're looking at these two numbers like, oh, if 5 is greater than 4, then this will swap it. So I'll put 5 in the temp, then the then 5 will become 4, and then 4 will become 5. That's what this does. So it switches it, and then we move. Then it increases j by 1. So then we don't care about 4. So then the next number is, say it's 6. So then it's like, oh, 5 and 6, is 5 greater than 6? No. Okay, we'll keep going. Let's then let's say it's 3. Is 6 greater than 3? Yes, it is. So we do 6 become, we got put 6 in temp, and 6 becomes 3, and then 3 becomes 6. And it keeps doing that, and the biggest number will be all the way on the right. And then we start again with the next row, and then we don't, yeah. So that's that. So that sorts it. I'm done with the bubble sort explanation for all you skipping ahead. Um, yeah. So that's that. Then, so now we have a beautiful sorted array. Now we're okay. Now we want to. So here's the thing. Uh, I don't ever use array. Like I don't split things into two arrays because that doesn't seem helpful. So we got. So what we have an array. Now I'll put it down here. We have an array sorted 1479, beautiful. Um, and we're gonna like just pretend that we're putting them in arrays. So first, we will imagine. so I kind of took some leaps of logic. I didn't really think too hard about them. But the reason why sorted should work is because okay, let me go through this first. So we're gonna pretend they're in an array. So we got four. We're going through the whole array here. So then we have x equals nums I, which is, so we're starting at the beginning, minus nums I plus one, and that gives us the absolute value. So basically, this is saying um, we're splitting this into two arrays. We're subtracting 4 minus 1, which would be 3. And so if 3 is less than the smallest value, then it'll set it as 3. Um, or no, it'd technically be 1 minus 4, which is negative 3, but the absolute value of that is, um, yeah, you get it. I hope. Okay, so the reason I have it in order, because if we tried, I think that that's the best way to do it, because if we tried doing something like 7 minus 1, well, 4 minus 1 will always be smaller than that. So we want it in order. We want the numbers that are closest together, right? So that's why it's in order. So, uh, yeah. So if we find the smallest, then I return the smallest value. Yay. Now, when I did it with, I think I even used that one. I did a test case. I ran it. It works. I get the result, the best answer. Um, but when I submitted it, I don't know. I don't want to do it again because it'll show me a bug. It told me it took too long to do that, which makes sense because if you look here at the constraints, the length can get up to 10 to the fifth power. That's the long array. So I can see why that's long. So I tried also, try to go through this faster. Same idea, but instead of like doing it in order, um, I get rid of the second for loop, the third for loop by just doing, I just take each value subtracted by the other value, um, and then it should have a the result here um should give me something where the number, so the numbers should be right next to each other. There shouldn't be, or something like this, not like this, 4 and 7. They're they're right. So it's just subtracting all the numbers from each other basically. And so if the smallest number is 4 and 7, then you're like, oh, but what if there's a 6? That wouldn't work, right? Because then the minimum value would either, it would 6 would either be the minimum value uh or the maximum value of one of the arrays. But if that were the case, then the 4 and 6 or 6 and 7 would be the smallest one, right? I hope you're following. Um, so then that's not something we have to worry about. Um, yeah. So that is how I did it here. I'll quickly go through the code again. Smallest value, and then it's looping through, looping through. Um, and then I have here if I equals j. That just means that means we're looking at the same number in the array. We don't want to do that, so I just continue. And I have the absolute value here. Yeah, it's the same thing. I feel like it's probably short. Like I said, we're cutting out this whole for loop, so surely it's shorter. But it still said it took too long. So um, I don't know. If you guys, yeah. So I don't. So I think my code works, as far as I know, technically, but it just takes too long, I guess, which is unfortunate. Um, so yeah, that is how I did it. Like I said, today was a bit of a jumbled mess. Um, I did my best. I don't think I did it. So congratulations to Purple Crayon. Let's see, where am I? Oh, it doesn't show my bugs for Q2 because it didn't have a correct submission. So, all right, one bug today. Let's go. Um, yeah. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Yeah, as jumbled as it was, 350. Hopefully next week is a bit more smooth sailing, but I guess we'll see. And I hope you guys have a good day and a good week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.